Michael is on the line in Rains Park. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning there, Matthew. I'm fairly unusual in being a right-wing Republican. I mean, I'm fairly cautiously Republican in that it's not something I would actively campaign for. I wouldn't join Republic, but if I was given the choice, I would want to move to a system whereby we didn't have a monarchy.
Why? Why? What's wrong with the monarchy? You just say you're a right-wing Republican. I appreciate the caveats that you wouldn't be, embracing the Republican group like Republic. The caveats there. But what is it about the royal family that is problematic for you?
Well, if you take this situation with Andrew Saxe-Coburg, the point is that if we were in a situation where, for example, the Prime Minister also served as head of state, then a scandal regarding a Prime Minister's brother would be a side story.
Yes.
But because we're in a situation where we've got this monarchy and we've got the soap opera of the royal family, it's all consuming and it takes up a huge section of the news agenda at the cost of a lot of issues concerning British subjects or citizens, as I think we should be referred to. Mm-hmm. So that's my issue with it. I mean, of course, I'm not impressed at all by the allegations against Andrew Saxe-Coburg, but I think that my issue is with the institution as a whole.
I understand. May I ask, is there a schism between right-wing Republicans and right-wing royalists? Should there be?
I don't think that there is to a great degree because as I say, I think the enthusiasm for a Republican state amongst right-wing Republicans is less than on the left. My republicanism isn't driven by any sort of politics of envy. It's not driven by the wealth of the royal family or anything like that. And in fact, I think that if we are going to have a royal family, then I think, and we're going to have a monarchy, then I think we need to do so in a more bold manner.
Hang on. So, because I was thinking you were about to say, in a sort of slimmed down manner, because although I might come across as a sort of rabid Republican, my beef is really with the fairy tale existence of our royal family, and I want to know why our royals can't be more like European royals, live in an apartment, travel by bicycle, turn up for the state opening of Parliament, and then clear off and do charities and good works the rest of the time, and not be a burden on the taxpayer. But you say they should be more bold. What do you mean by that, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I mean, I'm against the idea of monarchy, but I would oppose that view that you put forward in terms of a sort of slim. I mean, I do think it should be focused on the monarch, him or herself, plus their direct line. But for example, if you're going to tout the diplomatic benefits of the royal family, then why not have a royal yacht, for example, on which business can be done and all the rest of it? I mean, if you're going to go for that approach that the royal family brings us great sort of diplomatic benefits in that way.
Well, a trade deal with the United States, you could argue, couldn't you? I mean, that Donald Trump, he was all over himself when Starmer gave him that state invitation.
Absolutely. But to be honest, Matthew, I think that when you're starting to talk about trade deals being done by on the basis of sort of diplomatic niceties, having a royal family, then what you're really uncovering there is a certain weakness in our position. You look at America, for example, they don't need a royal family to get trade deals done.
Great point.
You need to have a system whereby it's a meritocratic system, and you don't need to rely. It's a great argument for having a monarchy that when you've got a monarch in place who has met the last 10 presidents. That is a great strength. But really, as I say, other countries don't need to go down that road. But you ask about the future of the monarchy.
I was just about to push you on that, Michael. I'm asking, whether they've got a future and when the rot began. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Yeah,
obviously, this issue with Andrew is going to do them no favours. You ask whether it's been handled badly. I would say if I was in the position of giving him any advice, I would say, really, this story is not going anywhere, because over in America, they've got hundreds of thousands of documents which are going to be leaked over time, and every time a new document is leaked, there's going to be a new story. So really, he's got to divorce himself from the case and just get on with his life, because the story's not going anywhere. In terms of the monarchy, if it gets to a point where the regulators do manage to get him over to the US and he's questioned by Congress, obviously that's going to bring the monarchy into disrepute. Yeah. But really, I don't think the monarchy will be going anywhere in this country. You mentioned Edward VIII.
Yes.
That was the last time we had a monarch who just was not up for doing the job. I think that it's quite likely over the next 100 years that we'll get another one of those who just thinks in the modern world with the amount of scrutiny on the institution, why does a billionaire have to be subject to this kind of scrutiny? Because, one thing I would say about the royal family is that you've had Elizabeth II, you've got King Charles, Prince William, that they're all up for doing royal duty in a very respectable way. But at what point do they think, is this worth a candle?
Well, I suppose when they look at what they might earn doing a proper job, I suppose, do you live in 7 palaces and turn up occasionally and do a job for the country, or do you get a job like everybody else and 9 to 5? They're never going to pack it in. It's the easy life, isn't it? I don't mind telling you, I really enjoyed that conversation with Michael from Rains Park we heard before the news. I thought his line that America doesn't need a royal family to get a trade deal. Okay, it's America's biggest economy in the world, but I love what he was inferring is there are lots of countries around the world that are landing trade deals that don't have a very expensive royal family. He came on air, Michael, by announcing himself as a right-wing Republican. And now, by stark contrast, we're going to Paul in Colchester, Essex, who's told Elliot he's a socialist monarchist. Good morning to you, Paul.
Very proud of it too. I'm a left-wing monarchist.
Talk me through it, Paul.
Because I come from what you would call as the Protestant tradition in Liverpool. There's 2 traditions that we know about, But that doesn't inform how I see the monarchy, because I make a rational judgment. Now, what I'm going to say, I perfectly respect the last guy's views.
Michael,
But I want to say this. When you abolish something, you need to have something in place to replace it.
Totally.
And you need to have a fallback position. If we replace the monarchy, you're going to have either President Farage, President Cameron, President Major.
Well, hang on.
Blair.
I've heard this argument before. There's no reason why you couldn't have President Stephen Fry or President Claudia Winkleman or President anybody else. It's who we want.
Can you tell me, where is Claudia Winkleman qualified to become president of this country?
What qualities do our royal family have? What qualities do our royal family have? None, as far as I can see. They just are the royal family.
To be honest with you, if you look at what the king does, service, duty, compassion.
But you don't think Claudia Winkleman can do any of that? It doesn't sound hard, service and duty.
It's not a programme I watch on the television. I just I really don't think that's a good example to use Claudia Winkleman.
All I'm trying to point out, Paul, is you're the one that's narrowing the idea of a president to being a Farage or a political person. It doesn't have to be. It could be a public person that we love. It could be an appointment for a couple of years. We could change it. It doesn't have to be Farage or the Royals, or Cameron or the Royals. It could be done a different way if we wanted to, if we had a vote, if we had a discussion, none of which, of course, are on the table.
Well, I'm going to concede that point to you.
Appreciated, Paul. Appreciated. Can I ask, now this is really, really from the heart. You're a socialist. You believe in equality. How can you believe in equality and have one family that is born above all others? How does that work in Paul's mind?
Go on, just explain that to me again, sorry.
So I would love to be able to tell my daughter that she has as much possibility as anybody else in this country to ascend to whatever role she wants to do in this country. But we don't. She can't be a member of the royal family unless she marries into it, and even then she'll just be marrying into the royal family. So it is something that is fundamentally not equanimous, it's not just, it is elitist. So how does a socialist reconcile having an elitist royal family?
Well, very easily. I mean, you look at the United States, they still have old money and they have new money. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's supposedly that is a country that doesn't have a monarchy. Obviously, they had our monarchy, and then they chose to remove it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, on the meritocracy bit, you can strive for the meritocracy, but whether it is ever fully achievable, I don't know. Yeah. So my thinking has sort of come down to this, that you can only do the best you can. You can only raise standards for everybody as far as you reasonably can. Whether you will ever fully create a meritocracy. Now, I'm going to say this to you, Matthew, okay? You know, if you abolish the royal family, do you think the aristocrats are just going to go away?
Do you know what, Paul? That is a very fair question, and I'm going to concede that one to you.